Welcome again, everybody. Welcome to Embracing Aloha or Embracing Change with Aloha. Welcome, Dr. G. Welcome, everybody. So as mentioned earlier, this is recorded. We have captioning available for everybody. And please feel free to use the chat box or to raise your hand if you have any questions or if you want to speak. Yes, so let's get this show started. Okay. And make sure I play the...
Washington State University acknowledges that its locations statewide are on the homelands of Native peoples who have lived in this region from time immemorial. There are 37 federally recognized tribes that historically shared their traditional homelands and waterways in what is now Washington State. Of these, 29 are federally recognized tribes in Washington, with the remaining tribes in Idaho, Montana, and Oregon, some of which represent multiple tribes and bands. The university expresses its deepest respect for and gratitude towards these original and current caretakers of the region. As an academic community, we acknowledge our responsibility to establish and maintain relationships with these tribes and Native peoples in support of tribal sovereignty and the inclusion of their voices in teaching, research, and programming. Washington State University established the Office of Tribal Relations and Native American Programs to guide us in our relationship with tribes and service to Native American students and communities. We also pledge that these relationships will consist of mutual trust, respect, and reciprocity. As a land-grant institution, we also recognize that the Morrill Act of 1862 established land-grant institutions by providing each state with public and federal lands, which are traced back to the dispossession of indigenous lands. In 1890, Washington State received 90,081 acres of indigenous lands designated to establish Washington State University. Washington State University retains the majority of these lands to this day. We acknowledge that the dispossession of indigenous lands was often taken by coercive and violent acts and the disregard of treaties. For that, we extend our deepest apologies. We owe our deepest gratitude to the Native peoples of this region and maintain our commitment towards reconciliation.
All right, so now that that's done, Dr. G, we do have a surprise for you. This is, I'd like to call in the, I hope I say her title right, the Washington State University Alumni Association Executive Director, Mariah Mackey, to present the prestigious Alumni Achievement Award to you, Dr. G. So Mariah, this is a surprise. She didn't know this.
She did not. What a great surprise. Thank you, Mia. In 1970, the board of directors of the Washington State University Alumni Association created the Alumni Achievement Award to recognize and honor alumni who have given outstanding service to Washington State University and/or outstanding contributions to their community, profession, and nation. The Alumni Achievement Award is the highest honor bestowed upon the Alumni Association by the Alumni Association. Since its conception, the Alumni Association has awarded only 562 deserving alumni. The Alumni Achievement Award recipients make up 0.2% of the estimated 250,000 people who have attended WSU over the years. It is my pleasure today to honor you as the newest recipient of this prestigious award. Dr. G, as she is affectionately known, is a first-generation student and completed 3 degrees in a 10-year span. As a Native Hawaiian and Filipino woman, she brings critical perspective and lived experience to her work, helping organizations move beyond surface-level changes to achieve meaningful transformation. She has established herself as a transformative leader in organizational development and cultural change as CEO and founder of CO3 Consulting. She has developed the innovative guiding principles of ALOHA framework: ask, listen, observe, heart focus, adapt, which bridges Indigenous wisdom with modern organizational strategy. The International Impact Book Award recognized her book in the Children's Inspiration category for her recently published children's book, Let's Live Aloha. This award celebrates impactful stories for young readers and was presented in March of 2024. Dr. G is collaborating with WSU Global Campus to give back to her Cougar community by volunteering her time to provide 2 virtual events and donating 40 copies of her children's book. Dr. G, you're impacting future generations through your work. You exemplify the highest ideals of Washington State University through your innovative work in organizational transformation and culture change. You have shown an unwavering commitment to building more equitable, inclusive, and effective organizations through your consulting work, publications, and community service. We proudly present you with the Alumni Achievement Award, our highest honor. You truly exemplify what it means to be a Coug. Speaking on behalf of the WSU Alumni Association, of our university, and of all those who you have positively impacted through your work, thank you. Congratulations on receiving this prestigious award. We are proud that you are a member of the Cougar family, and this means so much to be able to say to you, go Cougs.
Go Cougs!
I'm so sorry to start that out.
Oh my God, Andrea, Mia, you all didn't tell me anything. I'm at a loss of words right now. So
That is
Thank
completely
you.
understandable.
Thank you
Yes.
so much. This isn't something that I didn't expect. Giving back to my community it's my kuleana. It is my sacred duty. It is who as Hawaiians, as Kanaka Maoli, is what we do. And we don't expect anything in return. So when something like this happens, it's a lot, and I appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much to you all. And yes, that's a surprise. Mia and Andrea, you're really good at keeping it. You
Yeah,
Thank you, Maya.
we did a run of
I can't get the passcode.
Sweetie, can you I am so sorry. My husband is trying to join in and he's using my account. So he's outside the room now. Oh, I apologize. So yes, we did a run of show with Dr. G and we did a different run of show without this award. So this is a surprise for her. So anyway, so Dr. G, please go ahead and let's get this webinar started because we do have a lot of amazing people here with us tonight. So yeah, take it away. I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen. Okay. Oh, there you go. Share screen. I will do this and then yeah. All right. Okay.
All right. Thank
Mia,
you.
I'm sorry,
Thank
one
you.
second. Mia, can you move your bar? Yeah, that Zoom bar. Can you somehow move it to a different screen? Because it's right in the middle of our presentation.
Hang on. Let me hide
Just-
that one.
Yep,
There you go.
There you go, Mia. You're doing great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you all for joining me again. My name is Dr. Jerry Balarosa Tanel, and tonight I'm actually calling in from Rochester, New York. The land acknowledgement, that was a beautiful land acknowledgement. I've never seen a land acknowledgement like that before. And I am really proud of what WSU have done and with the acknowledgement that they've made. So I'm here just really quick. I'm here in Rochester because part of my giving back to the community is I serve as an oral historian for the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition. So I'm here interviewing elders who went through the boarding school at Thomas Indian School. And so everything that I do is around aloha. And many of you know what aloha means. In fact, in the chat, what does aloha mean to you? Or what do you think aloha means? I just want to see really quickly in the chat on what do you think aloha means? Yes, yellow, welcome, family, warmth, inviting. It means a lot of things. As you know, many of you know, in indigenous languages, in a lot of native languages, when you have one word, it can mean a lot of things. And aloha does. Aloha means hello, goodbye, love, compassion, empathy, charity. It means all of that. And so it also, when we greet each other, right, it's also more than just a greeting. When we say aloha, it means that we see you, not just you, the body, you as a divine spirit. And so that is what aloha means. And we can go to the next page. Yeah. I want to just share with you a little bit on how I actually come into the work and share some of the values that I have, and hope that some of these values actually resonate with you as well too. Everything that I do, I ground it in my culture. I was born and raised on the island of Oahu in the state of Hawaii. I graduated from Pearl City High School and lived in Palolo Valley over in on Honolulu, and then moved over to Pearl City and then left the island back in 1983. It kind of like sometimes hurts my heart when I even say it, but I've actually been on the continent longer than I've been on my own island. And so, if we can go back just one, I want to go over the indigenous values just a little bit on how I come into this work. And so these are the indigenous values that I come in with. I come in with a lot of kuleana. Kuleana is our sacred responsibility on how we care for each other, how we care for the work that we do, how we actually show up. And when we do show up, we show up in a way that is pono, that is right, that is balanced. And when I talk about being right, it's being right in the right kind of relationship. What kind of relationship you have with others, what kind of relationship you have with yourselves, your community, just how you show up. And I do this with Lokahi. Lokahi is about bringing community together, about having unity, and just fostering this collaborative way of being with each other. And we do this through Palina, through having a really deep kind of trusting relationship. And we're only going to be here for 90 minutes. And I know it's like it takes more than 90 minutes for us to truly trust each other. But I think when we start seeing the divine in each other, we can see the connection that we have more than the differences. And on the next page, you'll see on the triadic alignment. And so the triadic alignment is how I align myself with my values. And so you can go to the next one, Mia. You're doing good. It's okay. This is technology. We're used to this already. This is where we give grace to one another. So, in order for me to have the foundation of my values, I need to be in alignment. And the alignment, I call it the triadic alignment. So aloha akua, aloha aina, and aloha kanaka. So aloha akua is the love and connection to the divine, that everything that we see around us, for us being here, is the connection to the divine. Aloha Aina comes in because this is where we live, right? A lot of times when people hear the word Aina, they think that it just means land, but it actually means the land which feeds. And so the love and the connection that we have to the land to ensure that everyone has access to clean water, to healthy foods. And when we know the importance of that for ourselves, we share that with Aloha Kanaka. We want that for everyone. Not just some people have clean water. Everybody has clean water. And so Aloha Kanaka is the way that I walk in this world, and how I build community. And so the love and connection that we have to one another. and that is the triadic alignment. And so on the next page, I want to bring in my ancestors. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for these individuals, and calling them in, saying their name. They're here, and they they just realize, I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm sure I can feel my ancestors with me right now. And I think they're pretty proud of the fact that I've just become this distinguished alumni. Oh my gosh. And yes, mom and dad and grandpa and grandma and everyone, it's like, this is the work that I stand on the shoulder of giants. And so these are my ancestors, and they've already all transcended and are probably right here in the room right now. On the left side, you'll see my parents, Roy and Gloria Ibalarosa. In the middle is my paternal grandparents, Sergio Ibalarosa and Mary de Coscos. And on the right side, you see my maternal grandparents, Perfecta Filmer and Natividad Moreno. So both of my grandfathers are from the Philippines. My grandfather Sergio is from Bohol, Philippines, and my grandfather Sergio is from Cebu, Philippines. And then both my grandmothers are Filipino Hawaiian. My grandmother Mary de Coscos was born and raised on the island of Maui, and my grandmother uh, Natividad Moreno was born on the island of Kauai. So yes, these are the shoulders that I stand on. And on the next page, you see my purpose and the reason that I continue to do my work, and be a model for what I want my children and my grandchildren to be like. So you see my husband in the upper left-hand corner, that's Jeremy. He's my partner in life. He's everything he's my biggest support. He's my biggest fan. And then on the top right is my son, Mananui, and my grandson, Lyric, and my daughter-in-law, Jess. And so Lyric is going to be 16 in June, and my son just turned 40 in March. And then on the bottom left is my younger son, that's Ryan Ali'inui. Um, Cross your fingers, say your prayers, do whatever you need to. He just interviewed with the chief of the fire department for Snohomish County, so hoping that he become a firefighter. And when I asked him, why do you want to be a firefighter? He's like, Mom, you serve your community one way, I serve my community in the other way. And that just made me so proud. I'm like, oh my gosh, you do listen to me. So it's like that. And that's my daughter, Alicia. And both my daughter-in-laws are nurses. And then my grandson, Kaimana, and my granddaughter, Lonnie. And then my dogs, these are my two dogs, Zoe and Daenerys Targaryen. And if any of you watch Game of Thrones, Daenerys Targaryen, she came with that name. So yeah. And then on the next page, these are the places that nurture me. These are the places where have taught me how to be in connection with the land. And so on the left side is home, is my big H. Home is Honolulu, is Oahu, and on the other side is Washington State. And so the mountains, the streams, the water, and everything helped raise me and helped me connect with the land. One part showed me how to live off the water and to be able to fish and dive. I don't do that here in Washington State. I have my son fish because the waters are too cold for me, but it's like I have a garden and I live off the land. So thank you to those to those places. Now, just a little bit about who I am and the things that I do, you'll see on the next page. And it's kind of a, you'll see that it's kind of a long list because there's a lot of things that I do. Again, I serve my community in a lot of different capacities. So I'm the CEO and founder of Code3 Consulting. And like you've heard, I'm also the author of Let's Live Aloha, which I'm going to be reading a book to the children tomorrow. And so I'm excited about that and giving away 40 copies of the books. I'm also the chair-elect for Community Foundation, Snohomish County. And I serve as an advisory, a kupuna advisory, an elder advisory for the Hummingbird Indigenous Family Services. And then, like I mentioned, the oral historian for the Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition. And I'm also a adjunct professor over at Western Washington University, and excited to start my first course this summer, which Andrea is going to be one of my students. So thank you. So I just kind of shared a short story and let you know about all of you. I want to know a little bit about you all on how your day, how your week, and I want you to only use emojis though. Can you all do that? Can you make a story out of emojis? So share a short story about your day, your week using only emojis. And then I don't know, Andrea, if we have time to go into a really quick breakout room, if we have the opportunity to do that, just so people get to know each other for like about maybe 4 minutes or so. Can we do that?
We can probably figure that out. We don't have breakout rooms set up, but we can probably get that all set up for us.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we'll start with the emojis and just kind of like drop emojis in the chat. Mia, is that your head just on fire? Oh my goodness. Okay. Oh, I love it. Mahina, I want to hear that. Do you have a code? I like the footsteps and everything, the footprints. Nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for dropping that in. I would love to hear the stories. And so what we're going to do is, um, Andrea, whenever you have the opportunity, we can just put people.
Yeah. How many people do you want in a breakout room? I can do, if I
Probably, I
do
mean,
5 breakout rooms, it's probably about 5 people in each.
perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Okay. I'm
Yeah.
gonna do it now. So let's see. Everyone should be invited.
Yeah. Just take a minute to talk about the stories in your breakout rooms. So embracing change. I had the opportunity to talk with with a couple of people, and there's a lot going on in our world and in our country. There's a lot that is happening with school. Sometimes things can feel so overwhelming, and then when there's change, you're like, "What? I'm not even done processing the first change, and then there's change again." Right? So it's like we're in this constant place of change. And sometimes people are afraid to change because they're like, I just want to keep things status quo. It's so much easier to just keep things the same as always, and so I wanted to just kind of talk a little bit about just some of the common fears that's associated with change and transformation. So on the next page, you'll see that change can be daunting because it challenges our sense of stability. It's like, ooh, I got it down. Everything is okay, right? It's like we put ourselves in this place where we know what to do. We know what, it's like in our minds, we have things that it's like, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to do this. And we have a schedule. And sometimes when that schedule gets out of alignment, it can put us in this place where it's like, oh, I have no idea what's going to happen now. And so this change forces us to confront things that we don't know. It pushes our limit to transform. And so it doesn't have to be so scary because part of the change is also being able to step out of our comfort zone. And that's not very easy to do. I know. I set myself up and it's like I'm comfortable and I don't want to change. But some of the common fears that's associated with transformation, I mean, we can go to the next page, is that when we get to this place where we've got to push our comfort zone and we are facing the unknown, there's a sense of possible failure, right? Because it's like, I know what I know, and if I've got to learn something, there's this sense of failing. There's also this sense of losing control as well too. When we understand the world the way that we understand it, a lot of times when we are pushed to think differently and see things differently, it's like sometimes we're losing some of that control. And it can lead to this fear of rejection or maybe even judgment. And so the role of this mindset in facing change is that we can actually shape the way. Oh, I'm sorry, Mia. I should have told you to switch pages. I'm just like giving a lecture and not even like. My apologies, everyone. So the role of a mindset in facing change is that mindset shapes or uh, changes our perception of things. That whenever there is something that we have to grow from, we learn from as well too, if we're willing to, right? So having this growth mindset, it embraces challenges as opportunities. And of course, we have to also have the resilience to be able to accept that change, to be able to be like, oh, I feel this, I feel that change is coming about. How is it going to change me? I always tell people that I speak in draft because I may say things today, but new learning comes about, and my learning and my experiences changes my perception. So when I may say something differently tomorrow, it's because of evolution, right? Not inconsistency. And I think we should all be able to continue to learn, as we are all educators, continue to learn, push ourselves to learn even more. And it's like, understand that I think differently now. It's sometimes we meet people, and we could meet people in this place where it's in their place of growth, in that place of pause, right? And so it's like, in that place of pause, there's also growth. And in that place of growth, there's discomfort. There's also messiness as well too. And then we go away and we don't, we see that person again, and all we have is that same idea of that last interaction that we had. And it's like, we need to stop and pause, maybe ask a little bit more questions on, hey, how's your life been? How's things going? Because then it helps us to learn and help us to change our perception of things. And so this is where the evolution of aloha comes in. So we can go on to the next page. All right, so the evolution of aloha. This is my dissertation work. And when I first started digging into what I wanted to, what did I want to do? What did I want to expand on? And what I want to contribute to the world? And so it's like, everything that I did, aloha always came about, right? It's like I was always looking at aloha. And then I started to go deeper into aloha. And then I wanted to find, like, all right, what did my kupuna say about aloha? How am I going to live aloha, and how can I contribute, and how can I expand? So on the next page, you're going to see, we call her Auntie Palahi Paki, and she's passed away. She's passed away a long time ago. And her idea of aloha came through an acronym. And so when I started to study up on Auntie Palahi, and I got to go over to the island of Kauai, I met with her grandniece, and sat around all day talking story, just learning more about who was her auntie, and what did her auntie want,
Mhm.
what was her purpose. And so she told me about this quote that Auntie Palahipaki said. And she said, the world will come to Hawaii in its search for world peace because Hawaii has a key, and that key is aloha. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's my entire dissertation. That is exactly what I want it to be, right? It's like, that's what I want. It's like, if the world's going to look to world peace, I truly believe in my whole na'au, in my whole belly, my whole spirit. I believe that aloha is the way for world peace. And so in her acronym, she broke down aloha in this way. So akahai, kindness to be expressed with tenderness, lokahi, unity to be expressed with harmony, olu olu, agreeable to be expressed with pleasantness, ha'aha'a, humility to express with modesty, and ahunui, patience to be expressed with perseverance. And in my first, it's like as I was going through this, I was like, wow, these are so soft words. They're soft words, to be kind, to be tender, unity, harmony, agreeable, pleasant, humility, patience. I'm like, wow, that's soft. It's like all kind and fluffy words. In fact, that's what one of my colleagues said, was like, oh, these are all fluffy words. But then as I started to go deeper and I started to look at aloha, I was like, this is the hardest thing to do. It's easy for us to just hate on other people. It's easy for us to not be kind, to not care. It's so much easier to do that. And so I'm like, well, I want to be able to challenge, how do we exist? How do we coexist? And how do we create a space where we can truly live in harmony? How can we agree to disagree? How can we be okay creating a world where, if we're talking about inclusivity, we're talking about true inclusivity and not excluding others because they don't think like us, right? So it's like, these are some of the things that came about. And then I was like, well, what does aloha mean? And so I always carried around the Hawaiian dictionary that's about this thick. And I would keep looking at it. I was like, and aloha, if you look up aloha, it's like probably an entire page of all the different meanings. But then I was like, sometimes in a lot of indigenous languages, they take one word and they put into another word and then they create a new word. And I was like, I wonder if alo means anything. So Mia, you can go to the next page. So I looked it up in the dictionary and I found alo. And I was like, oh, alo, presence, forward facing, front. And I was like, interesting. So presence, when we are in conversations with other people, we are in the presence of another human being. When we are speaking to one another, we are speaking to each other facing forward, just like what we're doing right now, forward facing front. It's like, it'd be kind of odd if I kind of like was turning this way and everything and talking to you all, right? If I'm turning around this way, I'm no longer present. I'm no longer in the space. I'm somewhere else. And so I was like, okay, that's kind of cool. So Mia, let's go to the next page. Let's see what ha means. So I was like, well, if ala meant forward facing front, what is ha? And so I looked up ha and I was like, what? Breath, breathing, essence, breath of life. And so I'm like, oh, this is really, really interesting. I started to think that my ancestors understood a deeper, aloha was taken from the Hawaiian people and then sold back to them as just a simple greeting through colonization. And so I was like, wait a minute. My ancestors understood that when we meet each other for the first time, we are in the presence of a divine being. And our words, that when we speak, when we greet each other with that first hello, with that first aloha, our words are transferred through breath. And so they knew that our words transferring through breath in the presence of a sacred being, I started to look at it. It's like, wow, if our words travel through our breath and the other person is receiving those words, and breath signifies life, life is sacred. We're in the presence of a sacred being. Our words should be sacred too. And not just the words that we speak to each other, but the words that we say to ourselves, the words that becomes policies, that becomes practices, that becomes apologies, like the governor did today in here in Rochester, apologizing to the Native American people for that attended Thomas Indian boarding school, right? It's like the intention behind the words, and those words carry so much power. They carry so much power or mana, right? The words that we speak can tear countries down, but it can also build a child up, right? Just by those simple words. And we can build each other up as well too. And it's so important of the words that we speak to ourselves, because the words we speak to ourselves resonates out to how we speak to other people. So when I hear people say certain things in a way that could be hurtful or harmful, I pause and I think about the fact that hurt people hurt people. And so I'm always asking people, like, what happened to you? What happened? What caused you to think this way or feel this way? Right. So it opens the opportunity to get to know the person, to be curious. So through all of that, I started to think about, well, how do I engage in conversations with individuals? How do I engage in conversations with individuals where I'm going to be more inviting in how I engage in connection with them? How do I get to know them? And so I created the guiding principles of Aloha. And Samia, we can go on to the next page with that. And then we'll go deeper into this as well too. So these are the guiding principles of Aloha. And when I created the guiding principles of Aloha, I started this in, all right, you all help me out. What was the year of President Barack Obama's first election? Come on, who knows it? 2008. Okay, yes. Thank you, everyone. Yes, yes, yes. 2008. So in 2008, my grandson was born in 2009. And so this was a work in process. So it's like when the guiding principles of Aloha came to me, it was during President Barack Obama's first election. You all saw the picture of my husband. He's a 6'2", blonde hair, blue eye. He's a white guy, and I'm an Indigenous woman, and sometimes things clash. Sometimes things clash. And so we were at his parents' house during the holidays, and my father-in-law said, I don't know what this country is going to come to now that Black Obama's in office. And I took offense to that, right? I immediately took offense to that. And my husband didn't know what to do about what was happening between me and his father. And so I tried to explain myself, and I wasn't explaining myself right. And so there was a lot of tension that was happening between us. And I had to figure out, like, how do I engage in these complex conversations? because I'm not the only one in this world that is dealing with these complex, convoluted conversations. And the guiding principles helped me to figure out, like, how can I remain in relationship? If I am going to live by the triadic alignment of Aloha Akua, Aloha Aina, and Aloha Kanaka, I needed to live that. If I'm talking about what it means to, to live aloha, I needed to be aloha. And so I needed to figure out, like, how do I remain in relationships? And so I came up with this acronym, just like how Auntie Palahi Paki did. Auntie Palahi Paki's acronym of aloha was for the people of Hawaii. And when she did that back in 19, I think it was like 1982, I believe. I may have my words mixed up, my dates mixed up. But what she did was, there was some kind of tension that was happening between the Hawaiian Islands and Hollywood. And Hollywood at that time was really misrepresenting the Hawaiian people. And she knew that if she was going to talk to the people of Hollywood, one, being a Native Hawaiian woman, an Indigenous woman, and being a woman in a predominantly white male organization, she knew that if she came in angry, they would probably just shut her down. And so she's like, this isn't the way I'm going to do it. So I'm going to have to do it with unity. I have to do it with patience. I have to do it with humility. And so the spirit of aloha became law. She went to legislature and she's like, the spirit of aloha is going to be law because we as Hawaiian people need to conduct us in a certain way. And so when I started to read, and I can't remember the law, the number, but when I started to read about how the spirit of aloha became law, I was like, okay, well, I'm just obeying the law of my people. And so I need to be able to live aloha. So this guiding principles came up to how do we continue to be in conversation with individuals? So how do we ask questions and listen and observe and be heart focused and then adapt, right? Also to change. So we're going to go a little bit deeper into each of these elements. And so Mia, we can go to the next page. And so the first one is to ask. Asking questions is how we open doors, and we invite dialogue into this when we start asking people different kinds of questions. And so when we ask questions, it gives us the opportunity to lean into curiosity. If we want to learn about something new and we're curious about it, ask questions. But when we ask questions, sometimes we don't really listen. Sometimes we ask questions so that way we can just respond, not really listen. And so the next one is to listen. So listening, you want to go to the next one? Yeah, there you go. Yes. So listening, it goes deeper than words, right? It's about being able to be in the present. It's being able to actually see what is happening between the words. And sometimes there's often unspoken truths. And so we've got to be able to really, really, really listen, really ask the right kinds of questions and really listen and be very empathetic in how you're listening as well too. But sometimes when we ask questions and when we really listen, we don't really like what we hear. And so if we don't like what we hear, then all of a sudden we need to be able to observe what is happening in our body. And that's the aloha, to observe. So we can go to the next page. So observing what is happening in your body, what's happening in your mind. Are there words that instead of you just wanting to really truly listen to what is going on to the person, are you already formulating some kind of response? And it's so funny because I started to realize that, all right, you know what? I'm going to practice this. The universe always tells me that if I'm going to try to put together some theory, the universe puts it into complete practicum. And it's like, okay, you're going to go come up with this theory. Let's see if you're ready to actually practice it. So it challenges me all the time. So you ask questions, you listen, you don't really like what you hear. And then if you don't observe what is happening in your body, cognitive dissonance starts setting in, right? Because cortisol starts dumping into your bloodstream because you hear something that you don't really like. So you observe what is happening in your body. So the National Native American Boarding School Healing Coalition utilizes the principles of aloha in how we interview, right? So how we interview. So it's like, so for example, when I'm in the interview room with a survivor of boarding school, I've got to really look at the fact that I may see a woman that is 85 years old, but when I truly ask questions and when I truly listen, what I'm hearing and what I'm observing is the voice of a 5-year-old little girl looking to heal, right? So these are some of the things that happens. And so it's like really observing what is going on around you, observing just what kind of patterns that's coming up for you. And so always being able to pause. And of course, this is not linear as well too. So you ask questions, you listen, you observe what is happening in your body, and you get to this place of heart. And so that's the next one for H. Mia, you know what is so funny? I'm over here touching my computer like I'm trying to help you. So heart is, this is where transformation begins. So when we center our actions in love and compassion, then we can create these ripples that extend beyond ourselves. So always being heart-centered in our decisions, and which sometimes when we put ourselves in this place of being heart-centered, it's not always easy to do, right? But it's about also being the most authentic. And so when we're able to truly listen with our heart and center everything around heart, lead with our heart, which in our society, that's not one of the things that we do. It's like, it's hard to lead with the heart. It's like, well, what am I going to go? What's my bottom line going to be? If I lead with my heart, what's my bottom line? What is that going to result to? And a lot of times when we're talking about how we want to change a system, or we talk about how, oh, the system is broken, and we all know the system's not broken, right? The system is doing exactly what it was designed to do. But if we want to change systems, how do we do it? Do we do it by pushing people to, it's like, let's increase our bottom line? Do we work people out until they're exhausted and tired, right? How do we change systems? What are some of the things that we do? We can't change systems unless we change the hearts and minds of the individuals that are within the system. That is how we change systems. So if we want to be able to, create a society that is all inclusive, that is equitable, that is, transformative, where everyone is caring for each other, where there is true aloha kanaka that is happening, then we've got to be able to change the hearts and minds of the individuals within that. And that brings us to adapt. Well, let me see. I think I have a ho'omana'o. Do I have a ho'omana'o in there? Oh yeah, adapt. Okay. So being able to adapt to certain ways of being, certain ways of living, certain ways of existing, it's also adapting the way that you're thinking. So going back to the story of my father-in-law, it took a little bit for me to adapt because all I saw was him as being this bigoted, racist guy. And I didn't want to have anything to do with him. And it's like it took probably about 6 or 7 months for us to even start talking to each other. But what I started to see was a tension that was building up between um, my father-in-law and my husband. And then it was like, I didn't want to like go over to their house. And so the tension was building up between my husband and myself. And then it was like, it was a whole entire family thing where it's like, oh, Jerry thinks I'm a bigot. I'm like, well, if the shoe fits, right? And so it's like, it was terrible. So I started to like practice aloha. Let me ask different questions. So I would go and, it's like, all right, as we started talking, we started off with texts and stuff like that. And I would ask a question and he would come back with something else. And I would be like, okay, that's not it. And our conversations would fall apart. And then I told him like, let's FaceTime. So asking questions, I wasn't really listening. All I was doing was waiting for him to say something so that way I could continuously call him a bigot until I got to this point where I saw that my husband was feeling really sad and he was, he wanted me to be with his parents and I didn't want to. And I was like, okay, I need to adapt in some way. So I gave myself 3 days to be with my father-in-law. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to practice my guiding principles of aloha. So the first day, and my mother-in-law was in on it. She's like, okay, you two need to reconcile somehow. And so the first day I went to ask him a question and he barked back and things fell apart. And I was like, that's it, I'm done. And then I'm like, wait, what does observe mean? How do I observe? How do I get back to observing what is happening in my body? How do I take a breath? How do I get to this place of heart? Let me try again and ask a different question. So instead of saying, why would you do this? Who do you think you are? I asked him, I said, what happened to you? What happened? What happened to the point where you think that Black and brown people are lesser than you? I said, I don't know. I said, here's the thing, Dad, I love you and I love my husband and I don't like this pilikia. I don't like this trouble between us. So whatever we have going on, can we just have a conversation? Why do you think this way? I said, it hurts me. It hurts me to hear you say the things that you said. I said, what's going on? So when he realized that I was hurt, he started to ask different questions. And then we got to the point where he came back to me and he says, I was always afraid of Black men. And I was like, why? And he goes, because I grew up in a town where I never saw anyone that that everyone looked just like me. And the only thing that I saw was what I saw on television. And I was like, ah, interesting. And he goes, and I realized that that's what I was feeding. And so when I saw that, I'm like, yeah, Dad, that's bias. And so we started to have different kinds of conversations. But it took that adapt to be able to realize that we come from different places with different ideas, with different upbringings. It doesn't make it right or wrong, it makes it different. And when we're able to adapt and see the difference, come back to this place of aloha aina, aloha kanaka, right? Then we are able to engage in different kinds of conversations. The guiding principles of aloha is not meant to make it easy. It's just a guide to help you go through and follow, just go through some of these very difficult conversations that we have. And again, it is not something that is linear. You can use it in all kinds of different ways. And so I wanted to do a ho'omana'o, and in the Hawaiian language, ho'omana'o is a reflection and integration. And so I just want to have you all reflect a little bit on the guiding principles of aloha. And on the next page, Mia, is a question that I want people to kind of reflect on. So after exploring the Aloha principles, what is one key insight or strategy you've gained to face, it should say change, with more grace, and how do you plan to apply it moving forward? So I want you to kind of reflect on that. And then we are gonna go into a breakout room so we can go a little bit more deeper on this. And Mia and Andrea, I'm so sorry that I didn't tell you about the breakout room. So my apologies. So this is a question, but I want you all to kind of like think about yeah, how are you going to apply this? And which one of the elements of aloha is the easiest and which one might be the hardest to apply as well too?
So Dr. G, I am ready to put everyone in the weight room when you, or the breakout rooms when you're ready. Do you want them to go now?
Let's give, I mean, yeah, we could do that. And then it's like a, you know, as you reflect on this and everything, you could reflect together on it. And then let's give them a little bit of a longer time to be together. I would say maybe 7 minutes.
7 minutes? Okay, I'm going to open the breakout rooms right now.
And have really good conversations, everyone. Share aloha with one another. And then I'm going to jump in and out of breakout rooms as well too. I just wanted to, I wanted to just, if we can get off camera really quick, not off camera, just stop sharing for really quick so I can see everyone's faces if possible. And if I'm asking you all too much, please tell me.
Mia, do you need help? Stop sharing, or you got it?
I just wanted to ask people, you know, how was that? How was that? You know, how was everything? And come off of instead of putting it in the chat, just kind of come off of mute and share how did that feel on just talking about aloha and how are you going to implement that in your life? Because I want to know.
I like the ask questions part, Dr. G. I think it's really important. I always I need to remember to ask more questions because I can learn so much, not only about people, but about a perspective or a situation. And so I really appreciate that aspect.
Thanks, Andrea. Okay, I had a really amazing conversation, and my partner was Michael. Michael, you want to come off and just share on which one of the elements is easiest for you, which one of the hardest? Because you said some really beautiful things.
Okay, let's see. Well, I said that the easiest thing for me was listening because a lot of people have a lot to say when they either when they have like going through some tough times or recognizing like tough things going on in the world. And I know at the beginning it could sound like a little bit like displacive or disruption of one's peace of mind, but I usually allow them to just go forward with what they're saying because eventually they I once they talk long enough, I'm able to find the roots of where they're coming from. Like by allowing someone to just uninterruptedly go through what they're trying to say, I eventually find out that what they are saying isn't just like on have surface level tensions, but it's really stems from deeper personal experiences and ideas that are somewhat commendable, but it's understandable how, but also understandable why they believe that personally, and you know, it helps understand their perspective of reality and self-reflective of, and I can self-reflect on that. Um,
Mhm.
as for the hardest thing, I would say it's asking questions. Definitely asking questions. Whether I want to ask questions as a response to what they say or out of legitimate curiosity, my biggest fear is definitely getting the wrong response out of them, or making it feel like maybe the question is a challenge instead of an actual question. And that's not, I really don't want that to be my intention, really.
Thank you, Michael. And moving forward, how are you going to apply it moving forward?
Well, one of the things I have learned from um, ALOHA is definitely that it is a great like it's a great amount like it's definitely a great policy to help like remind self-reflect on me and self-reflect on the person I'm talking to or the people I'm around, so I know where they're coming from and why they identify with certain principles. So definitely if one part of Aloha if we pass one part of Aloha, then I can reflect on if different the different leathers in hopes to make sure that there is a parallel to the person I'm talking to.
Thank you so much, Michael. Mia, I see your hand up.
Yeah, so our group kind of like talked about like you gotta get to the A and the L in order to get to the O, the H, and the A. And one of the challenge I have, like it's easier to ask questions because we are naturally curious, and so we just fire up those questions. Is the listening part is where I struggle. That's what I share with my group. And so I need to be able to get to the listening part, like in order to arrive to that like observing and the heart because yeah, it's been a challenge because we always go into when we ask questions, as you mentioned, like we seem to be in a defensive mode, like our default when like we ask the questions and then instead of like listening, we're like on defensive mode, like, oh, what are they gonna
Mhm.
say? Is it an attack on me? I gotta fire back. And so I
Mhm.
need to work on that in order to get to the like proper observing part and then the heart. And
Mhm.
yeah.
I know it's not easy. Anyone else want to share?
I
Oh,
will.
oh, go ahead.
Just really, and I'll be really quick. The hardest thing for me is the observe part, which is the emotional, kind of the emotional physical reaction. I find that that's the thing I have the least amount of control over. I feel like I'm really good at asking questions. I'm pretty good at listening. I've definitely improved in that area. I can probably do more. But it's my own visceral reaction that I have a really, really difficult time controlling. So it's something I work on a lot. And sometimes it's just a matter, I think, of breathing, being like, okay,
Mhm.
like let this settle. And so one of the big things that I've kind of learned over the years is just trying to assume positive intent, and that helps a bit to address that, to just like realize that somebody's not trying to be difficult, they're just trying to communicate.
Mhm.
That might be one way to kind of approach that.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much for saying that, Katie. Because yeah, a lot of times we don't know where people are coming from, right? And it's like sometimes it's like if they're not if they're not clear in what they're saying, we fill in the spots. We fill in those blank spaces with our own assumptions and our own bias, and then we end up making up a story that's not true. And then we've got to be like, oh man, we got to go back to asking questions again. But yes, anyone else? Anyone else wants to share before we move on? Hi, Jen. I see your hand up.
Aloha.
Aloha.
Um, I just thought of something. So in our group, I was talking about for me, asking questions is probably something I need to work on. But ironically, I'm really good at asking questions at work, but one of the things at work that we talk about all the time is you ask a client a question, tell me more about that. There's no reason why we can't use that same exact phrase with our friends and our family and other people that we engage with. Because one of the things that came up in our group was like sometimes asking, you know, what are you okay or what happened is sometimes hard. But if you can get them, there's nothing wrong with saying, can you tell me more about that? So I just wanted to share that.
Yes, I love that. I love that question. Tell me more. Yes. Okay, I think I think we only have like around 7 minutes left. And so we can put the last slide back up. So this is the last slide. So facing fear or change in the midst is not about eliminating, but about embracing it with the guiding principles of Aloha. So being able to ask with curiosity, listen with empathy, observe with clarity, lead with your heart, and adapt with grace. So the quote, in these moments, we discover that fear is not an obstacle, but a doorway to transformation. And, you know, it's like change is constant. We are going through change every single day. And so I just wanted to thank you all. And tomorrow, so those of you that are going to be coming to the reading tomorrow, I've taken all of this and I put it into a children's book to where teaching the children on how to ask questions and how to be curious, how to listen, observe. And so it's like, you know, if you're there tomorrow, we'll go through a little bit more of it's very interactive. The book is very interactive. So I actually teach the kids on how to take a breath. Right? It's like let's take 3 deep breaths together. You know, let's find something that we're grateful for, right? It's like hold that in your heart like a balloon full of sunshine, right? So these are some of the things that I teach the children because I mean, they are the next generation that is going to be running this world, right? And so if we want the kind of leaders that is going to ask with clarity, listen with empathy, observe, right? Lead with heart, adapt with grace, we've got to teach them now. We've got to teach that generation now. So then that way they are ready to, you know, create a different world than what we are looking at right now. And so I just wanted to tell you all that this has been such an honor to share this space with you for, you know, tonight. And you all witnessed this distinguished alumni. So, you know, it's like, thank you so much. It is such an honor. And, you know, and here's the thing is that we may not have met each other in person, but we've shared this space with each other. We shared aloha with each other. And when we, again, are sharing this space, present, forward facing, front, sharing these stories, you've become part of my story. So now going forward for the rest of my life, it's like you all are going to be part of the fact that you were here to witness something that I didn't even expect, but I am so honored to have received from Washington State University. And you've all been witness to that. And, you know, it's like, I'm out and about and I hope that our paths cross, some way soon in person. And if you see me out in a public, you know, say hi. Say hi. You know, it's like that's how we start creating these communities. It's just by greeting one another with a lot of love and aloha. So, Mia, Andrea, Washington State University, thank you so much for being here and sharing this space with me. And yes, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and aloha, everyone.